Hello, everyone. Welcome back to First Listen Media. Today, we are with a member of the band, Inhu. What's up, dude?
Up, man.
Just having a good night like always. Thanks for being here with us.
Oh, thank you for having me and having my drummer here as well.
All right, let's get started then. Hello. All right.
Hey.
Where did all of this begin?
So Inhu began back in 2003 in a bunch of shitty-ass notebooks back in high school. Started off just kind of writing lyrics, things like that. It grew after a while. Originally, the band title was not going to be Inhu. It's going to be something called Inhuman, but that just wasn't going to cut it. So after years of having notebooks and everything filled with what I was hoping to be lyrics, I actually started learning guitar after writing lyrics and stuff. I think that was around 2006 that I started learning the guitar. I bought my first guitar when I was actually deployed in Iraq. And one of my friends picked it up for me and he kept it for a while. And then from there, I picked it up, started learning, and slowly over time started writing songs. A lot of the songs that were released on the album C'est La Vie, which was released earlier this month, those were written probably around, I'm gonna say like 2012. Some of them were written or starting to be written, and then kind of sprinkled throughout time from that point in time until now. So this has been a long-term kind of coming thing.
Well, firstly, thank you for your service.
Thank you.
And second of all, what inspired the band name? What was the inspiration behind that?
Well, I guess the inspiration originally it was going to be Inhuman, was going to be the band title, and at the time when I was writing lyrics, they were a bit heavier in tone. And I myself, I did not feel very human some days. And at that time, I was very big into bands like Korn, Deftones, Slipknot, stuff like that. And I imagined the band kind of going that way. Over time, it obviously didn't go that way. It was kind of frustrating, I guess, playing and realizing, okay, I can't play some of these things right off the rip as a musician. Nowadays, I could play a lot of that stuff, but those are kind of going for other projects that I have. But like I said, I originally started off with the title Inhuman, and I want to say I went to FYE, one of the CD stores, and found out there were other bands that already took that title. And I was like, all right, I can't do that. I toyed around with a few other things. They were really bad titles. I had one called Darkness Starts the Fire, which is just emo sense, super emo. What else did I have? I had another title that I tried, but that also didn't work. And then I don't know what it was, but I took man off of Inhuman, and then it just turned into Inhu. And it just kind of stuck from there. I've been using it, and I feel like it has a really, for some reason, it fits the sound really well that we have. This first album's acoustic. The next album that we're going to have is going to be not acoustic, bit heavier.
Yeah, I noticed I was doing my playthrough and I loved it too. Tell me a bit about that album, actually.
So that album, like I said before, it was something that sprinkled throughout time from 2012 until now. I think there's 11 tracks that I have on that album. The reason why I did this album first was it's a lot easier to record acoustic music by yourself than it is doing full-on band music. At the time that a lot of this music was written, I was bouncing around, didn't really have a solid foundation of a place to live. So I was kind of living at different locations, and it's much easier to carry around an acoustic guitar and a laptop than it is to have an electric guitar and a bass. And then not being a drummer really kind of limited that as well. So I was like, all right, you know what? First album, let's do an acoustic album. Plus, I always had this funny thought in my head how the first album that most bands put out is heavy, and then the second album's not so heavy. I want to kind of do the opposite, where the first album's acoustic and the second album's actually going to be heavier.
I'm personally really excited to see when that comes out because I love the acoustic vibes that first one has, and I really cannot wait for the second one to see how much it changes. I see it all as growth, and I love watching bands grow. That's the biggest thing for me here is just seeing where they go from here. It's exciting for me.
It's definitely super exciting. I mean, my drummer here, he's helped out, even though a lot of the acoustic stuff I wrote and recorded a lot of them. There are a few tracks that he kind of helped sculpt indirectly because we did play them together, and we have been doing a lot of live Instagram videos of the tracks, and he's been really great about learning the parts really fast. We actually there was one track earlier this month that literally I think I showed him how to play it, and then we did the live video 10 minutes later.
Yeah, legit. It was like, learning these acoustic tracks for me as a drummer. Well, I'm also a guitarist as well, so I was able to pick it up a little bit. But I didn't really know a lot of the songs to start with, but kind of learning just kind of on the spot with a lot of these songs is really cool, because this album I feel carries a certain energy to it, and the lyrics that he has, just some of them just kind of they kind of absorb you, and being able to switch instruments sometimes from drums to guitar, it's it kind of brings more of a different vibe to it, which I kind of enjoy. I enjoy switching up the instruments in Inhu, and really trying to just flow with it. There's an ebb and flow. Obviously, this C'est La Vie is more acoustic, and when the next album comes out, like he said, it's going to be heavier. I'm definitely more drum heavy on that album, but playing the live videos and everything is it's so cool to be able to switch up my instrument and everything, and like I said, just being able to switch up that vibe.
Yeah, I'm super excited about that.
I definitely love that response, and I can feel that too with the lyrics. The song that got me, I think, was "Half the Heart." That really drew me in right away.
That one's I've noticed a big fan favorite. We also have a music video on YouTube for that one as well that I shot.
I'll have to look into it.
Yeah, I shot that one with one of my friends who actually lives here in Connecticut as well. He actually lives just in East Hartford.
Oh, wow.
And we shot that video in parts of Vernon as well as parts of Tolland, because we shot it in these woods out in Tolland, and then we shot it in parts of it on the road and in a parking lot in Vernon.
All right. I'll have to check that out because I've been to a lot of those areas, so I'll probably pick up on where it is.
Oh, probably, especially the parking lot. The parking lot is, I feel like most people who know Vernon will go, oh, I've been there. Especially at 2:00 in the morning, and because there's it's the parking lot where Denny's is.
Oh, okay.
So everyone who sees that one's gonna be like, I remember that from 2:00 in the morning, being really drunk after a show at freaking Meadows. Back when it was called the Meadows.
Oh my goodness, that's great. All right. Well, speaking of songs, what was the lyrical process behind that one?
Behind Half a Heart?
Yes.
The the process was writing, rewriting, not liking it, rewriting it again. I think that one went through a couple different stages. The first verse changed up probably about 7 times. The second verse, for a while, we would play it kind of live-ish, and I would just do it differently every single time. Because nothing ever really like stuck to the point where I was like, that sounds like it should be, you know?
Yeah.
Which I've learned to embrace that approach a little bit more of trying to naturally find the lyrics sometimes, because I used to often write something and be like, that's going to be it. And then it just doesn't work and I get roadblocked on it. But now allowing myself the freedom of being like, you know what, let's just wait. Like once it's fully recorded and out there, that's the lyrics, you know? Because one of the people, Aaron Lewis from Stain, he used to do that with the song Outside. He used to go play it at bars, and he would kind of make up some of the lyrics for some of the verses because he didn't really have anything written in stone yet. And it wasn't until he played it live with Fred Durst, the one that's like famous with the lighters and everything, that he finally solidified what the lyrics are going to be. So for that song, I've kind of gone the same route. And now that there's a song out there, that's the one, because I started playing that one and I've noticed a lot more people like those lyrics better than what I originally wrote. I mean, I even liked them a lot more because I had certain things to them that I originally wrote that I was like, all right, this has to be in it. But then the more I played it, I was like, I don't like these. But now the ones that I have now, they feel perfect.
I love hearing that. And what was the inspiration behind those lyrics? Because those really did hit me in the feels department.
So that track, the lyrics behind it were quite deep. So I wrote that song around 2012. And 2012, my son Joshua passed away. He passed away when he was 13 months old, and that was a really rocky year for me. My ex and I, we actually had these little like hearts that we each had. It was like a half a heart that we each had, and she used to hang hers on her rear view mirror, which was kind of like where that first line comes from. And so I kind of started playing around with that. So the whole kind of premise to the song is kind of about loss in general, about grieving and dealing with it. Not just my son, but the relationships that were surrounding the whole thing. His mother, as well as her family, because in the whole process of that year, I felt like I kind of lost a lot of things.
Wow. I'm sorry to hear all that.
It's a heavy thing. Over the years, I've gotten more open about talking about things like this, because in the past it was real hard to talk about. The music that I write has definitely been a very big helping hand and allowing me to kind of unleash the emotions and the feelings that I have about these subjects and kind of almost wrap my head around them in a way where discussing them and dealing with them, talking about them, hurts a little less every time, because it's good to talk about these things. A lot of people, when they deal with loss, because like it's something that we all deal with, you know, every single person on this planet is going to deal with some sort of loss that's going to hit them hard. And the worst thing is that a lot of us are taught not to talk about it. But that's a terrible thing, because we should be comfortable to talk about these things, because that's kind of what keeps that person alive. But it's also good just for everybody. I mean, even people that never met him. AJ here never met met my son, but I've talked to him about him. And it's great because, like, in a way I get to keep him alive, but at the same time, he gets to know about him as well.
Yeah.
And it's really, really cool and touching. Like, he's really good about stuff like this. Like, AJ is awesome about listening to it. We also have another song that goes even more about that subject matter that's not on this album. That the only reason why I haven't put it on is because it's such a hard song to get through. Called Little Boy, which we're actually going to try to play on Instagram Live. I think next Friday is when we're going to try doing it, because my son's birthday is December 5th. So
All right.
we're going to try to do that.
I'll try to tune in.
Thank you. Yeah, we're super excited about it. AJ and I have played it a few times, and I think that's one of AJ's
that's
favorites.
definitely one of my all-time favorites.
I mean, this is my friend Jeff.
Hello.
They all know the song at this point.
It was a little bittersweet because, like, when he first taught me the song, I didn't know the story behind it, and so it was like, oh my god, like, what? When he told me, and like it kind of like every time I hear that song, like I kind of like sit with it a little bit and like I grieve with him, you know. It's kind of like that's our connection that we have, and I feel like really kind of close in that sense, you know, when we play that song together, you know.
Yeah.
You had something to add?
I myself, I did have the fortune of knowing Joshua, and I was there, you know, the night after he died, and I know how bad it wrecked him, and, you know, Joshua's mother. He poured himself completely into that song. Like, that's really, for me, it's the most touching song he has. Yeah. So that's all I kind of wanted to say.
I mean, the crazy part is there's on the song Little Boy, the second verse, I wrote after your dad's funeral.
Oh, yeah? I didn't know that.
One of our friends actually said some of the lines kind of, but like in a different way. And it got me thinking. So it's like, oh man, like, so like that song was kind of one of those where it was kind of written over a couple of people's funerals, but it kind of came together. Like it's really bizarre how it wasn't really just one thing that kind of like did it. Because a lot of the music that I've written, I've realized like there's not really one straightforward, like this is what it's about story. There's kind of stories added to them. And like that's one of the things like that happened where one of our other friends ended up saying something, and I kind of went like, all right, I really like the way that line works. Because the line was basically what our friend said was, he was like, this is so weird being at our friend Jeff's dad's funeral, because this is a family that always smiles and now they're not smiling. And I was like, that's interesting, because like it's true, because every time I've been around them, they're always a very warm family, and that kind of gave me the inspiration to add that into the song. And I was like, all right, well, that's pretty cool. Which I definitely want to release that track at some point. It's just such a hard song to fully record without somebody breaking down at some point.
I can't wait to hear it, because I also do lyrics. I'm trying to get my own stuff set up, and there was a point in my life where I was extremely suicidal, and I put all of that into it. And I ended up writing it all during I was in the waiting room of my therapist's office, and I had a mental breakdown, and I'm like, I'm so glad no one noticed. So I'm over here in a therapy waiting room, crying my bloody eyes out, just letting my hand do the rest. I'm like, fuck it, just get it all out there.
That's the way to do it. I mean, I feel like most of my notebooks at this point are kind of like a therapist wet dream.
I mean, that's one way of putting it.
Yeah. But yeah, like actually that kind of depression is what got me into this. Music saved my life, and I wanted to give back, so I do this now.
Yeah, that's basically what I feel like most of us here feel like as well. Like music has been kind of the crutch during the hardest times of our lives.
It's better than any therapist, in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It allows for me it's cool because like you get to see that other people connect with the same thoughts that you're having. When you hear some of those lines some of the vocalists say, you're like, wow, I'm not the only one that thinks this way. Like, that's cool. And then it's even better when you go to a live concert and you see all of these people just singing those lines, and you're like, all right, so it's not just me and the vocalist, it's all of us. Like, all right, this is kind of cool. Like, this is kind of good for me because you kind of realize you're not really alone in it. But at the same time, it's also kind of like you're talking to a therapist when you're in the car belting it out and getting your voice all tore up because you're just screaming at like, whatever time at night that you're freaking doing it. I do it 6 o'clock in the morning heading into work. By the time I get into work, they're just like, hey, how you doing? I'm like, I'm good. Freaking tears going down my face.
Oh, I know that pain all too well. I do that with my favorite song all the time. The song that got me into this, I will always do that with that song. The lyrics are just insane, and it always hits me where I live.
What's the song?
It's called Shattered by the band Currents, who actually also came from Connecticut.
Oh wow.
Yep, they're actually a pretty big band now. They're signed under Sharp Tone, so they've made a lot of progress.
No.
Yeah.
I have to definitely check them out. You said Currents?
Yep, I'll send the song over through Facebook if you want.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, that song, when I first heard it, I had a fucking knife to my throat, and that song got me to just throw it in the other direction. But ever since
it's
then,
crazy how powerful music can be. I mean, it's interesting when you think about it because it's people you don't even really know that well, but like they're able to put out some really powerful stuff because they're being as open and honest as they can about certain subjects. And by doing so, it helps a lot of people. I mean, it's kind of mind blowing because like I've come from a family that is very not open like that. So they constantly don't know how to deal with things like that. And for me, like I went the complete different way from my family. My family is very much like, let's not talk about that. And I'm like, no, let's talk about that because fuck that, man. Like we're not gonna like be going to somebody's funeral because they felt like they had nowhere else to go or no one to talk to. Like if they want to talk about it, cool, come talk to me about it. It's not gonna ruin my day. It's gonna make me feel better that you came to talk to me about it,
Yeah, that's how it is in my family. No one likes talking about Jack. So my ultimate friend has been these right here. The good old headphones.
Mine's been my guitars.
I'm trying to get one. I really want to start like learning how to play so I can bring my lyrics to life. Because I can't sing. My vocals, my throats are all messed up. I can't actually sing myself. So I want to find a band where I can at least partake in it and be the songwriter. Because I've already written like 9 tracks just out of my depression alone. I've been using it as source material.
That's kind of how that works. I mean, this year alone, AJ and I have written, I want to say, about 9 albums worth of music at this point. Because like we have other projects that we've that we're doing. So we have Inhu, which is this. I have a project called Echoes of Her, which is like industrial, experimental, kind of like metal-ish. Then we have a band called Sloth, which is like alternative, heavy grunge. I don't even know what else is actually active, but those are like the 4. What did I name?
You said 3.
3. Can't do math. The 3 big ones that we've basically been doing. Oh, we have this other project called Scaving Silence, which is the metal project, basically. That one's like the heavy dark one. And I mean, like each one, like when there's certain emotions I want to deal with, I go in and I'm like, all right, let's get into this, and it's gonna get really dark and gritty, but we're gonna feel better at the end. Turn off the lights, turn on the mic and scream my heart out. And I've actually done that on a few tracks where it's literally been screaming. Yeah.
I cannot wait to hear those. You need to send those my way. I need you to text me all those band names so I can just look them up, because I'm all about that stuff. I'm all about metal.
I definitely will. Right now I'm at my friend's house, and we're gonna shoot a promo for the band Stone Sloth, which is quite I don't know how no one has ever, like, how is there not a band already out there called Stone Sloth?
I have no clue.
We, like, as soon as one of our friends suggested it, like said, hey, let's call ourselves Stone Sloth. Well, originally he wanted to call it Stone Sloth and the Loveless Hippos.
Yeah.
But eventually it turned into Stone Sloth. I looked it up as much as I could just to make sure that it wasn't already taken. He looked it up, and I'm like, how? How is this not taken?
I've seen some really weird band names myself, and I'm like, how is that not taken already?
Sorry, I think I slid over.
You're good. But yeah, like,
But, like,
sorry, you first.
It's crazy, like Stoned Sloth. Like that sounds like the perfect band name. Like what? How is that not already a band? I don't get it.
For real. Hey, you guys are the first.
The craziest thing is, like, so we started uploading videos, and just the band name alone has already gotten us like views, and we only have one single out.
Damn.
And it's because people are like, oh, like I've had people tag us and things, and I'm like, have they even heard anything yet? Like, are they just loving the band name? Like, it's mind-boggling. I'm like, all right, well, whatever, like, tag us.
That's great. Dude, that is absolute insanity. Holy shit.
Right?
All right. My next question is, who would you love to collaborate with, whether it be performing with on stage or recording?
I feel like I know who you're gonna say.
Who do you think I'm gonna say?
I think you're gonna say like Corey Taylor.
Oh god.
Yes.
that's basically kind of it's either, I mean, when it comes to like the top notch, like famous musicians out there, like Corey Taylor, like, yeah. But also what is it? Izzy Hale from like Hailstorm.
Ooh, I love Hailstorm.
She's got some of the nastiest vocals out there. Like I love the idea of like the male female vocal lines, and not like the Evanescence or what was it, the one with Seether, like Broken style, but like just in general, because like you hear what was it, there was Brent Smith of Shinedown. They did a song with Izzy Hale, and I mean, both vocalists of both bands just top-notch singers, and it's real cool to like do stuff like that. Like I feel like as a male vocalist, when you put a female vocalist on, it kind of makes you have to rethink your voice, because like when I do a track with another male vocalist, it doesn't really necessarily make me have to fully rethink it depending on their vocals.
Yeah.
But most women are going to have like a different vocal range that I'm not going to be able to really necessarily get. So now I have to like think of ways to harmonize with them or really push my vocals to try to get up to there. Because I think I'm like a baritone or something like that. I'm not sure what I actually am when it comes to vocals. But like that's probably one of the people I would also like to at some point. There's some like weird ones. I mean, like Trent Reznor would be one, but like another one that would, I feel like people would be like, huh, that's a little weird, is Billie Eilish, because she has some weird, interesting styles. And from what I've seen, she has really great vocal control, but also just the factor that she goes, like, as being a pop star, she's very different. Like, I feel like she could do some like really cool, like heavier music and just do something that people would be like, what?
I could see that too, because I do listen to her stuff every so often, and I definitely see what you're talking about. Like I could see that happening. Like her style, she could definitely do heavier stuff.
Nuts. Oh yeah. I mean, like I've seen videos of her do, I don't remember if it was like acoustic or like piano stuff, but it's like her actually doing proper singing, I guess is the best way to put it. It's not really like, but like she has some really great vocals, not just the whisper stuff that she does. And that was kind of mind blowing. Like, oh, all right, well, she can really, really sing. Like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of artists out there that actually can sing that people did not know that they could sing.
Yep, like Johnny Depp. He's in a band.
The other one is that blew a lot of people away was T-Pain. Because T-Pain constantly uses auto-tune in a lot of his tracks.
Yeah.
And there's videos of him playing the piano while singing, and like legit singing, like really good singing. And then somebody interviewed him and was like, so why do you use auto-tune when you clearly don't need auto-tune? And he was like, well, it's just a choice. It wasn't even necessarily that he needed it. He just did it as a choice. And I'm like, that's nuts. like what? Like, all right, well, you know what? It works for you, man, I guess. Like, whatever, do it, man. But that's nuts. Like T-Pain, like he could sing. Like, well, all right, I guess he can. Holy crap! Like, all right,
that's great. My second to last question is: what is the best piece of advice you could give to your listeners and fellow musicians?
Well, to listeners, follow and subscribe on all of our channels just so that you can be caught up on all updates. Because that's really the best way to find any new music from us. Also give other new musicians chances, because like you don't know what you're going to find out there. When it comes to other musicians, the only things that I can say is just keep at it. Collaborations really work really well. That's what I've been learning. Actually been reaching out to a lot of different people for future music, where there's going to be quite a bit of different collaborations from some people that are kind of fairly big in New England, from like other bands. Actually, speaking of which, there's a band called Mudfuck that's from around this area.
Wait. They're called what?
Mudfuck.
That's great.
Yep. Their vocalist is going to be featured on one of Inhu's tracks, and then on the same track, there's this girl Desiree. She's an amazing guitarist. She's actually done like the Michael Jackson Immortal World Tour at one point. So like she's gone around and done a ton of things. She's featured as the lead guitarist, and then I've got a bunch of other people that I'm trying to get featured on future Inhu album. So it's going to be quite exciting.
Okay, now I'm really pumped for that.
Oh, we are super pumped for it. Like, that's like this is what I love doing. Like I love doing music, but I also love doing music with just anyone at this point. Like it's I like the idea of like, okay, let's do something different from what I'm used to doing, and kind of putting myself into this weird area where I'm like almost a little nervous about it, because I'm like, oh no, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do exactly something that might match their level, but you know what, screw it, let's try it, let's see what happens.
That's awesome. And I love what you said earlier about giving small bands a chance. I love that. That's basically what I do here. Like the shirt I'm wearing right now, from a small band who I work with, and they were such awesome people.
Oh
like
Yep.
I work with the label they're signed onto, so I get to work with them and a bunch of other bands that are on that label. And I got to meet them in person recently because they did a show here, and I'm like, fuck yeah. But it's like you never know what you're gonna find. Everyone's still hooked on mainstream, but a lot of the good stuff is in underground. You never
Mhm.
know what song you'll find out will resonate with you unless you explore it more.
Oh yeah, I mean, like the underground scene. A lot of the people, like, they're still hungry, so a lot of the people are pushing themselves and doing things that you might not hear in the mainstream um, platform. Like, yeah, like there are some like really good mainstream artists out there, but I still like the idea of like giving uh, unknown bands a listen, because you don't know what you're gonna hear. And as a musician, it's really cool because like that's kind of sometimes where you can get inspiration from. Like you're like, oh well, that's interesting. I've never heard that before. And then you're like, oh, wait a minute, I could try this. And then it just starts spiraling into creativity. I mean, the band Sun Singer, the vocalist, she did a shoot with a photographer that I know. And the shoot was inspired by another friend that I know who does art. And she drew this like alien piece, and they ended up doing an alien shoot because of it.
Nice.
So it's like
Oh, you
real
know
cool how
Sunsinger.
things like that work.
Well, that's
Mhm.
awesome. I didn't know you knew them. Great.
Yep. Yeah,
Yeah.
I follow Carrie. I know like I follow her music as well as her modeling, because like I know her one of the photographers that she's friends with um from Enchanted Memories. And yeah, like there's like a whole like tight group that I realized Rhode Island is really good on the music scene compared to Connecticut.
It is.
Like Rhode
Small
Island's
world, dude.
got
Holy
so
crap.
much better yeah, Rhode Island's got a way better music scene than Connecticut. Like I feel like Connecticut's like music scene's kind of like I think the issue is just like Connecticut is really big on their drugs and alcohol,
Yeah,
and that
unfortunately.
kind of just destroys a lot of that, because a lot of the people are like I don't know how many times, like I've had a lot of drummers that I've tried out, and one of the last drummers I had a real big drug and alcohol issue, like to the point where you're like, how are you alive?
Jesus.
And it's just that this is a thing. This is how Connecticut, I feel like, works, and it's frustrating.
It is. Like I'm tempted to either move to PA or Rhode Island because I'm trying to actually do a business for underground music to help them give them a shot.
Mhm.
Like it's a weird idea. Record shop mixed with a dive bar. That's kind of what I'm aiming for. Because you know
Oh,
how
that's
dive
cool.
bars do a lot of live shows. I'm
Mhm.
like, I could have the shop where the bands sell their stuff and they can play music whenever they want. And it's
I mean
all going
that.
to be just for underground. Like that's my goal objective. Well, not all, but most of it. Like 98% is going to be underground.
I mean, like the other thing is like once you become well established, it's still good to get some of the mainstream ones in there, because then the underground people can play as the openers for
Yeah,
those bands, and that
that's
kind of helps them get a little bit more exposure as well.
that's
So
also
it's
I'm
also good
planning.
already having the merch basically there as well. So
That's
that's a pretty good
also
idea.
that's also a big plan of mine. I'm trying to incorporate all that too. I'm just trying to find a job right now so I can start saving up to fund it. That's like the big
Mm.
thing. Because I have people I work with who will support the idea. I just need to get a financial basis set so I can start actually opening up shop.
Yeah.
But yep. Because honestly, like Sunsinger, fucking love them. Her
Mhm.
vocals, Carrie's vocals are out of this world, amazing.
Yeah.
And seeing them live for the first time was insane. They performed at Cherry Street Station on the 19th.
Oh
So,
wow.
so it was
I
nice
think
actually seeing them.
I think I played there once, and with another band at one point. That show wasn't bad, but oh my god, ended up breaking one of the strings while I was playing.
Ooh,
Like, well, it didn't break. It went out of tune, and the problem was I had at the time a Floyd Rose, which has like these locks on them. So once it's in tune, it's supposed to stay in tune. The problem is once it goes out of tune, you can't quickly tune it. So it wasn't like I could like tune while everybody else was playing. I would literally have to stop, undo a bunch of things. So it was just like, all right, well, I guess I can't use that string now. And obviously, we couldn't stop the set or anything, so we just played through it. ended up having to like bend one of the other strings into the position that I needed that one to be at, which sucked.
Shit.
Cherry Street's a really cool place, though.
Yeah, I went there. Like I said, the 19th was actually my first time ever going, so I want to go back. I want to keep going to shows.
Oh yeah, it's like a little small hole in the wall. But it's a really nice venue.
It is. All right, my final question of the evening is: do you have any questions for me?
Do you have any questions for him? AJ's thinking too.
It takes me a minute to think. I'm a little slow.
I always love throwing that question in because no one ever expects it. Like the interviewer becomes the interviewee for like a question.
So you said that you started this because you wanted to give back. And I know that we discussed, you said that this originally started off as something bigger with other people, right? Like anime and things like that, right?
Yes, I ran that with some other friends, but they stopped putting in the work, and I'm like, you know what? Screw it. I'm taking what I do, renaming it, rebranding it, and just launching it as my own thing. And I think that was probably the best move because I was gonna do it anyway. I just didn't want to do it alone, so I thought of let's do a group thing just for the hell of it, and they bailed. So I'm like, fuck it. I'm gonna take what I want and do it.
I mean, it's a good idea. Like when you have the other people, it makes it a little bit easier because you have a little bit more support, and ideas for content can kind of come up a little bit easier because you have like a few more people to bounce the ideas of. But it's good that you're still maintaining it even without the support from the whole group.
Yeah, because this isn't something I want to give up on. Like I want this to be something I do till the day I'm dead. Because that's how much music has impacted. How I feel. Yeah, like that's how much of an impact music has had on me.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to just keep going with it, and eventually I want to make it into something I can do financially, so I can never stop doing it. Because if I can make it a living, If I can make it a living, I don't have to keep searching for jobs. I can just make that my job and enjoy it.
Yep.
So that's the end goal.
Well, hopefully we can both reach that end goal. I'm definitely looking for that to be a thing.
For sure. Well, hey, when I open up that location, I'll let you guys play opening night.
Oh, hell yeah. we'll get a bunch of us. It'll be us, Sunsinger, Frantic Endeavor, and
yes. Oh, I love Frantic Endeavor.
all a bunch of local bands.
Yeah. Actually, Frantic and Sunsinger are on the same label.
Yeah.
Yep, I work with DI quite a bit, so I get to work with a lot of his bands.
Oh, nice.
Yep, it's a lot of fun. I did not know you knew her photographer though. Small fucking world.
Yeah. Oh, it's a super small world. Like every single day, like I'll be talking to one person and I'm like, wait, you know this person as well? I'm like, Jesus Christ. Like, all right, whatever.
So do the others have their questions ready?
What's your question?
I forgot my question when I was listening to your question.
That sounds about right with AJ. AJ's got that mentality of forgetting stuff.
Well, yeah.
I'm the same, buddy. I'm the same.
I also fit the character of Stone Sloth like pretty well.
Yeah, he's our little Stony.
Yeah.
I mean, Brian is too, but
I'm the Stony Kid though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We nicknamed him the Kid.
Because I'm the kid.
And then I'm nicknamed Sad Boy.
Oh. Oh.
Which definitely works when you listen to all the lyrics that I've written and you're like, oh, yeah, he is sad.
No, whenever I'm listening to it, I'm like, yeah, I can fucking relate to this.
I mean, that's good. Like, I like that people are able to relate to the material that I put out there. The biggest thing that I always make sure is whenever I'm writing, I want to make sure that I'm relating to it. If I'm not really or able to get into it, then it just doesn't become a track.
Yeah.
But it's really good to like hear that other people are like, Like, hell yeah, this is my jam. I like this. I like this sad shit.
That's why I'm a metalhead. A lot of it is depressive, but it makes you realize you're not alone.
Mm-hmm. It definitely does.
I know. For me, like a lot of the tracks that are still yet to be released, like a lot of the heavier ones for Inhu, yeah, like the lyrical content is a little depressing, but I think it's like straight jams. Like, there's no way that I could be like actually like sad listening to some of those songs, because it's just like the vibe of the guitar and like the driving rhythm of like some of the bass lines and everything. It's just like it picks you up where, it's just like it meets in the middle. You know what I mean? Like, the
Yeah.
lyrical content is one way, but it's just like bam in your face, kind of.
Yeah,
It's
I know
basically,
exactly what it
it's
is.
basically State Farm, because like a good neighbor, they're always
State Farm.
there.
Yeah. Like a good neighbor. State Farm is there. Damn it, now that jingle's in my head. All right. So, does anyone else have any questions?
Question, Jeff? No?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Did you think of a question?
No,
He has not.
Aw.
we're good.
Oh well.
Well, I definitely like
maybe-
this.
Maybe the next time, because I always love having guests return. So,
Well, I mean, we've got other projects that we could definitely come back to talk about.
Yeah, and I mean, I also
We'll try to get our bass player for Stone Sloth to come do an interview as well.
all right, we'll definitely do a Stone
That's
Sloth
a really
one.
interesting project.
Yeah.
We will have an interview on Stone Sloth soon. I cannot wait to do that. That's gonna be fun.
Hell yeah.
I still love that name. How has no one else ever used it? Holy shit.
I don't know. I looked it up, and at one point I thought I found one, and then I realized no, that's not a band. And I was like, all right, well, fuck it. We're Stone Sloth Band.
Nice.
I mean, hell, even our Instagram is literally Stone Sloth Band. Like,
I will have to go check that out as we are speaking right now, so I can follow it and check everything out on it.
well, I'll send you some links to the other projects.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Make it a little easier for you to find them.
Thank you so much.
No, thank you for checking them out and for interviewing us.
Hey, I love music, man. Music is, like I said, music's my life, and I always love finding new groups, especially the underground. Like, I spend all my time in underground. Like, if I was to be honest, I spend maybe 1% in live stream. Everything else is underground.
There you go.
Like,
That's
underground's
basically
my
Brian, our bass player. He's totally on the underground kick, like to the point where it's like he's trying to find some of them that you're like, what the.
Some of the band names.
How
like,
is
you're
that?
just like,
I've seen some weird ass band names. Like, I came across one today, and I was like, "This actually fucking exists." Hold on, I'll look up the name again real quick. It's a bunch of random letters put into a weird order, and then it has abbreviation under it, and I'm like, "What's this abbreviation?" Acidic vaginal liquid explosion generated by mass amounts. I'm like, this cannot be real. I shit you not. I'm like, why?
Yeah.
And it's recent too, like a couple of years ago. I'm like, this can't be. And they're still making music. I'm like, holy shit. Why is this a thing?
Hey, I mean, there's as a musician, I get it, because like it's there's a point where you're like, you know what? Let's see how badly we could just bomb this whole thing. Like, can I just write the worst music ever? I mean, I think that's actually kind of how Stone Sloth sort of kind of came to be. We were like, all right, fuck it, let's just write bad music, and then it just turned into something better, and we were like, what? All right, whatever, this works.
Yeah, like the actual band name, it's a bunch of random letters, and then they have a abbreviation, even though it's far from it. And I'm over here like, what the fuck? Well, you find interesting things every day.
Yeah, you do.
And of course, it has to be a metal group. I'm like, that just does it. It's like death metal or something. I'm like,
Oh yeah, so they've got the band logo where it's just cracks on cement,
basically.
or like somebody dropped jar of ink or something on the floor. Like, oh, that's my favorite band right there. How do you pronounce that? I don't fucking know.
You're not wrong. Like, that's how some of it comes together, surprisingly.
Oh yeah, definitely does.
This has been such a fun time for me. Thank you again. Thank you for all of you for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
All right, I think I'm gonna wrap things up here. Hello. All right. This has been another episode of First Listen Media, and I hope you all have a wonderful night.